What's going on, family? What's going on? What is going on? First of all, I just like to say I'm thankful for another day. Yes, sir, I'm thankful for another day. God has opened the door for another job, another opportunity. Amen. Like for real. Like no clowning, no none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like for real. This is amazing. You know what I'm saying? Truly, truly a blessing. You know what I'm saying? Truly, truly, truly a blessing. I thank God. Got a nice little restaurant job, but you know what I'm saying? It starts somewhere, Start somewhere. As long as you're able to get some type of income generating, that's what counts. Without you getting yourself involved in foolishness, desperation, laziness, you definitely can't get into being lazy and stuff like that. You don't want to get into a mindset of being lazy. Definitely not. This is going to be a little bit different. This job is going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit different. They don't, I ain't going to be able to do my recordings like I did at my last job. They really just straight up like that. No cell phone. So just gonna have to find ways to cope with the tactics. I ain't gonna be able to show any tactics, or I can still make inspirational videos while I'm off work, but actually showing, like, when they be on that BS, actually being able to show like what is going on. Look at him down there. The red and the white. It don't matter. It's just cars. But like I said, I'm still gonna make my videos, but might not be every day, and it probably might be before or after I get off work to, just explain my documentation. But while I'm there, just gotta find different ways to cope with the targeting. I know how it's gonna be at this new job. It's gonna be honey traps. I'm right in front of the college, the New Mexico College. You know what I'm saying? I think this is the same university that Myron Mays lost his mind. You know what I'm saying? His emotional intelligence, he didn't use too much emotional intelligence. And ain't no telling what trauma, embarrassment they was putting on that brother, because that brother Myron Mays actually had a title. You know what I'm saying? So especially when you're in this program and you're a title holder, you got some type of recognition, some degree, some title, some type of status in this world, then guess what? This Gang Stalker program can really mess with you, can really affect you, can really mess with you, It can do that. It messes with a person like me that's not much of a title holder. You know what I'm saying? Just a black man with a criminal background that was on drugs, and you know what I'm saying, that somehow believes he's chosen by God, and always resonated with the Bible, always attracted spiritual people. I feel like I'm an empath, but other than that, as far as like the worldly achievements, I haven't made too much worldly achievements. So I don't see myself going out like Myron Mays. I'm saying, make sure ain't no coyotes around here. Make sure ain't no snakes, tarantulas, and all that type of stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Because they do be having tarantulas around here. You know, them big furry spiders. But they say the tarantulas ain't even deadly. They're not really deadly to humans, but they just freaky looking. But snakes and stuff like that, this is where the snakes be. Snakes can be deadly. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about no mountain lions, anything like that. But it's kind of cool to get out here in nature, get your peace of mind, especially I didn't even think that I was going to accomplish the job. You know what I'm saying? Didn't think I was going to be able to do that. You know? So I'm just thankful to God. You know what I'm saying? Just really, truly, just thankful. You know what I mean? I want to see, do I want to climb up there? Do I want to climb up there? Do I want to climb up there? Yeah. I'm going to climb up here. Take that risk. Take that risk. Hold on. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Very adventurous. Very adventurous. Oh, yeah. Get on up here. Get on up here. Boom. Making it up here. Making it up here. Got it. Got on up here. Made it on up here. Whew, I didn't climb up the mountain like I usually climb a whole lot higher. But today I'm like, nah, it's all good. I don't want to try too much. It's been a while since I've been out here, and this is at like the pinnacle of the heat. You know what I'm saying? Up to the hundreds. You know, in New Mexico, Arizona is the death zone. You know what I'm saying? This is a desert. It's hot. It's like 100 degrees. Maybe sometimes it could push up to 105. You know what I'm saying? Maybe even 110. But in Arizona or in further, you know what I'm saying, west of New Mexico, that's the death zone. It's high. You talking about degrees up to like 120. You know what I'm saying? Of pure heat. I don't even understand how people even stay in Phoenix. I don't get it. I don't even understand how people stay out there. How can you be homeless in that heat? You know what I'm saying? You can't even have a tent out in that heat. I'm talking about as soon as the sun comes up, you're going to be cooked in that tent. You know what I mean? Like, just wondering, like, oh, you got to, like, the natives of Arizona, the natives of Phoenix, like, they have to be, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they can walk on the sun. You know what I'm saying? All them people, they're melanated. You know what I mean? It can't be racist in Arizona because everybody black with all that heat. But no, family, I'm just thankful. Thankful, you know what I'm saying? And everything happens for a reason. That's how I look at it. Everything just happens for a reason. And yeah, it's kind of sucks. I like my dog. Well, the dog that I adopted, you know what I'm saying? Just had her for about a year. She just couldn't really, I don't know, got sick. I guess she been depressed. Guess she just been depressed. Ain't been taken out like that because I've been working busy, but it's like hot. And she just got depressed and, just stopped eating, stopped drinking. And, you know what I'm saying? It just kind of got out of my hand. Like, next time if I do get a dog in the future, I try to make sure I get a puppy. You know what I'm saying? Not a dog that's probably been traumatized. She got personalities like she's probably been traumatized before. You know what I'm saying? As a pit bull like that, she was non-threatening at all. And, that's a good thing, I guess. But then also it's just like, no sense of alert awareness. Like I love that. I love that dog. You know what I'm saying? But man, I took her on a little walk. Finally had my days off. Took her on a little walk, and it's like she about caught a heat stroke, throwing up, diarrhea, not eating, not drinking. I felt like if I would have kept her, you know what I'm saying, she could have just could have died. You know what I'm saying? And some dogs are manipulative too. You know, I don't know what it is. Like certain dogs have certain characteristics like humans. I believe certain dogs have dark psychology too. You know what I'm saying? She was like, either you gonna take me out, you know what I'm saying, or I'm just not gonna eat or drink. You know what I'm saying? And she was in that stubborn mindset. You know what I mean? Not understanding that this heat gonna take her out. You know, and certain dogs get like that. And I don't think that she looked at this place as, well, staying with me as a happy place, even though feeding her, keeping her in AC. You know, certain dogs, they whatever they've been through, they want to be free. They want to be around a certain type of family that can give them that more freedom. You know, in my situation, I couldn't give them that freedom. I got to work. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't give her, the dog, the freedom. So I had to end up surrendering my dog. So surrendering my dog, and you know the animal control came, boom, boom, boom. So it's just like a lesson learned. You know, it's like, dang, you know, wow, like I lose my job, lose my dog, dang near finna lose my place and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just times can get hard, you know, just off a decision that you make. But the one with the dog, I think that was inevitable. She was already not drinking, not eating. It was just inevitable. It just, me losing the job, I just was able to see clearly, like, yo, she about to die on us. You know what I mean? We can't force, you know, you can take a horse to the water, but you can't make a horse drink. You can take a fool to school, but you can't make the fool think. You know what I'm saying? If it's the dog's for you, the dog's for you. You can't force it. You know. So it's just like, wow. One thing is, like, when I get an attachment with something, I don't really like letting that go. I don't like letting that attachment go. You know what I'm saying? Especially if, it means deer. Even though next time I get a dog, I will hope it be a guard, a protector dog. You know what I'm saying? A more alert dog to let us know if, you know what I'm saying, anybody around. She was almost more like a cat. People will walk and she'll just stare at them. No barking, no nothing. Another dog would come, no none of that. But she was a beautiful dog. You know what I mean? Playful, energetic, very nice, but not the dog that we needed. You know what I'm saying? And then she just got into a psychological phase where she just said bump eating dog food and bump drinking water. So I was like, okay, well, got no choice but to surrender her. And I'm just glad that I got me a job. I'm able to level up, you know what I'm saying? And focus back on what matters. Here goes another job again. Nice general manager lady got me in there. You know what I'm saying? Even though she did slide, you know, they got to do their indirect. She was nice. She was very nice. She was very, like, she was looking past, you know what I'm saying, the anxiety. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, just got off work. The tactics been ramping up. I just lost my dog. So I'm trying to keep this interview, like, personality, but I know she kind of feel the off awkwardness energy. You know what I'm saying? Program could put you through that. You just have this sense of offness, sense of dissociation towards people. You know what I'm saying? But you have to build an association towards people to get, you know what I mean, a job, to get certain benefits, to get certain things, you know, and it's just awkward. It's like a split personality. It's like a split in a way. But she seen it and she tried to ignore it and she tried to act cool. She tried to act a little, professional and, you know what I'm saying? And just welcoming and stuff like that. I thought that was cool, you know. Nice Spanish lady, you know. But I know already, okay, I see it. Honey traps, yep, honey traps. They walk, because you know the colleges right next door. So this is like the honey trap colony, the honey trap hive. You know what I'm saying? Like the honey trap hive. You know what I mean? And you know they got the Greek, the Greek clubs and stuff like that. And if you know anything about Greeks and the history of Greeks, that was like one of the most perverted just people. You know what I'm saying? You know, the Greeks, they had that Sodom and Gomorrah spirit with the Greeks. You know what I'm saying? That the freaky Greekies. You know what I'm saying? That's why I guess that's where the Girls Going Wild. Remember when they had the Girls Going Wild VCR tapes and DVDs back in the day? The college Girls Going Wild and stuff like that. You know, just college people having fun and stuff like that. But it really in them little Greek clubs, you know, in the after hours it goes down. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's almost like the TV show Spartacus. If you want to understand the Greek culture, you know, other than the brutal sword fighting and stuff, like Spartacus, the TV show Spartacus would definitely give you an introduction of the orgies, of the homosexuality, of the, you know what I'm saying, sex. You know what I'm saying? If you are an individual that wants to follow the guidelines of the Bible, just stand on some type of morals and ethics, you know what I'm saying? Or just for your own safety. Because if you target it, you don't know what they could do to mess up your life. You don't know. They can have a female that's infested with STDs. They can have a female that gets a baby by you and then put you on child support. You know what I'm saying? Or even, you know what I'm saying, have a abortion or you know, all these things to get to you. You know what I mean? Drain you out your money. Mess around and get married to you and drain you out your money. You know, all type of sick and sadistic things. So you have to be careful. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Certain people just take chances. Me, when I was single, I didn't care about nothing. I'm thankful to God. But I didn't have no conscience of no STDs or none of that. I didn't care. I was just at that mindset like drugs, get high, you know what I'm saying? And if I can, you know what I mean, slip into some sugar walls, you know, that would be great. That's it. You know what I'm saying? I got to the point, I didn't even really care about a roof over my head. At that time, where my mindset was, you know what I'm saying? Because I was on the drugs and my thought process was clouded, you know what I'm saying? You know, it just put me in that mindset. And yeah, that's where I was at with it. Just trying to get into some sugar walls at the time and get high. That was it. That was bliss for me. You know what I'm saying? Now that's not bliss. You know what I'm saying? I just can't believe I had such a foolish mindset, such a wretched man, such a, you know what I'm saying, pitiful sinner. A pitiful sinner. You know what I mean? Not even with no worldly accomplishments, stuff like that. You know, so sometimes you gotta go through the fire. You know what I mean? This program could bring you to fire. Even when you working your jobs, you doing good, you maturing, you want to be a family man, you're more cautious of the women, you're more cautious of the people that you put in your social bubble. You know what I'm saying? You're more cautious of that. You know what I'm saying? You just see more clearly. You see like how, like before, like you'll look at ICANN and be like, oh, wow, I would like, wow, like what would I do just to, you know what I'm saying? Have, you know what I mean? Just the skin, just the intimacy that you want with the skin. You know what I'm saying? Just analyzing the skin and just the intimacy you just want with skin. Then the more you get in the Bible, you just be like, oh, just this flesh. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Something that when it rots, maggots manifest out of. You know what I'm saying? But it looks so pleasing to a sinful eye. It looks so pleasing to a sinful eye. It does. And we're prisoners of sin. And, thanks to the death of Christ, died on the cross, you know what I'm saying? Christ conquered death. You know what I mean? So through the law of Christ, through your faith, through your belief, and through the law of Christ, and through Christ's grace, and obeying the law of Christ, you know what I'm saying? And being thankful for the grace that someone was perfect enough to be a servant with all that majesty, with all that power and all that divinity, to cloak themselves in human flesh and go through the process of aging from a baby just to die for our sins is a beautiful thing. To cloak themselves in a cloud, to cloak their glory like the sun. Let's say this person's spirit, Holy Spirit like the sun, and to cloak themselves from that sun, that put themselves in the flesh like a cloud. You know what I'm saying? That was a wonderful thing, a beautiful thing, And the more you get in the Bibles, the more you just realize how pitiful you are. You know what I mean? And once you get that realization, the conviction, it's like slowly but surely, you know what I'm saying? You'll start to detox spiritually. Some folks just think it's just gonna be an overnight thing. Like you just gonna overnight just have this superhuman glow. But it's a process. And the first process is always that's good is first realizing you a sin. You gotta let the word convict you. You know what I'm saying? That's how I be getting into make sure ain't know what's going on behind me. That's why when I get into the mindset, you know what I'm saying? Like, how can gang stalkers gang stalk people in a church? Then that must mean like the speaker, the preacher, or you know what I'm saying, who's ever speaking inside that church, they're not convicting people with the word. The word should be, they should get in the word and they should feel conviction. But nowadays churches be like clubs. It's a lot of worship ceremony going on, which worship is great. Worship is great. You know what I'm saying? Giving God that sweet incense of worship, and praise. You know what I'm saying? That's great, but that's all. They just turn the worship into like a club, though. That's it. A lot of churches, it'd be almost like an hour of just the, music, people dancing, or, certain different churches, they ain't really doing all that dancing. They just hands held high and stuff like that. They feel good, but they can do the gang stalking. They ain't getting that sword. You know what I'm saying? And then when the preacher preaches, it just more on a motivational, prosperity. You know what I'm saying? Just the generalize, you going through this, we going through that, just the, the generalization of what, you know what I'm saying, Jesus did for our sins and stuff like that. Just the general stuff, but not really doing the conviction, you know what I'm saying? Making people realize that they sinners. Because if people get into that conviction and they start realizing that they sinners, I don't think they're going to be focusing on doing these tactics. And then the dark spirit that's operating them, even inside them churches, is going to have to flee with that conviction. So you can tell certain, like if you at a church and they really doing the gang stalking, you know what I'm saying? You could tell that like it's really not no conviction being there, because the word is like a double-edged sword, and people can't endure that. They gonna get up out of there. You know what I'm saying? Not because the tithes and offering, because that word is cutting them up. You know what I'm saying? The word had to cut me up. Had to make me realize, like, you know what I mean, how much mercy and grace God had, you know what I'm saying, in store for me. How many times I could have slipped up, Like before I used to just walk into the pits and the holes, and God somehow provided a way for me not to fall. It's like he made an invisible bridge for me. You know what I mean? Or invisible lid that did not allow me to fall in that obvious trap. You know what I'm saying? You get into the mindset of that vagabond spirit, you start not caring. You get into the mindset you don't care no more. You know what I'm saying? But now it's like once you mature and you see what matters, you start caring. You know, you want to get back in that mindset of having the fruits of the spirit. You want to get in that mindset of loving your neighbor as yourself. You want to get in that mindset of like have an opportunity if you have the clothes to clothe people. You know, you see people out here with dusty clothes. There's a lot of people that be growing out of their clothes or have clothes that they don't want. It's people that be having mountains and mountains of clothes. You know what I'm saying? And you could just be giving some of them clothes away. You know what I mean? You know, shirts are kind of universal. You know, pants are really not, but you know, people got shirt sizes and stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure a person that's been wearing clothes for a long time, you give them some clothes, they'll be thankful. Clothing them, giving them something to drink, giving them something to eat. You know what I'm saying? You know, things like that. Directing them, giving them the wisdom and the words of encouragement and the wisdom and the knowledge of God. You know what I'm saying? Making them realize they sinners, but also, you know, because usually people in them situations, they can only focus on physical. It's hard for them to understand spiritual. They'll listen to the spiritual because you giving them something physical. But it's just the advice, giving them advice on what to do. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like, what's their story? What led you, you know, hearing their story. Some people, they don't even have somebody to tell their story. Like, dang, how did you end up like this? What happened? You know what I'm saying? Hear their story. See if they got a reasoning mind. They ain't got no reasonable mind. They just out of it. You know, just give them something to drink, give them some food, give them clothing, and pray for them and keep it pushing. You know what I'm saying? But if they do have a reasonable mind, you know, you can take that sacrifice to have that little conversation with them and give them that proper advice. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you can get a job out here. You know what I'm saying? Hey, they got this shelter program. You know what I mean? Boom, boom, boom. Some people just might need that. Even though they might know it, some people just need that. You know what I'm saying? And you might be the fuel that God can use, you as a vessel, to change this person's life. And now by doing that, you know what I'm saying, you're doing the works of the gospel because through that process, you may win over a soul. You know what I'm saying? Something that God considers more precious than anything else is souls. That's the most precious thing to God is souls. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what's precious to God. Like gemstones, like diamonds and rubies, and you know what I'm saying? The precious stones. You know what I mean? God look at souls like that. You know, like gold. You know, just the souls put the decoration, you know what I'm saying, to his sanctuary. You know what I'm saying? You know, we're the spiritual jewels. You know what I mean? The souls that are equipped with the wisdom, you know, are equipped with the wisdom. And we gotta be thankful for that. You know what I'm saying? So we can shine. And in order for us to go through that shine, once we realize that we sinners, we have to go through the fire. Just like every other piece of rock that's shiny with minerals and stuff like that, for it to have that shine, it has to be purified through that fire, the process of refinement. And yeah, it sucks what God would use, you know what I'm saying, the darkness to bring his children to the light. And this prison planet, yes, the darkness is being used for the children of light to come to the light. You know what I'm saying? The law was set for people to break the law. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a law, there's going to be lawbreakers, there's going to be criminals. You know what I mean? Law does bring order, but it's going to bring a division. You're going to have criminals, you know what I'm saying? And you're going to have people that's free, you know? Like, people that's law-abiding citizens, not just there's free criminals, but you're going to have criminals and you're going to have law-abiding citizens. You see like that. So you have children of God and children of Satan, children of light and children of darkness and stuff like that. You get what I mean? And we just got to give thanks for the divinity of Christ. Like a lot of people don't even understand the divinity of Christ. People don't even understand the divinity of Christ. They just like, oh, Son of God. And then they look at, well, we're all children of God. He was just the perfect Son of God. He's just our big brother. Or some people like, oh, Jesus was a prophet. You know what I'm saying? Or say, oh, he was a priest. You know what I mean? Some people just looked at him like a carpenter. You know what I'm saying? Some people don't believe he existed at all. You know what I mean? But when you look at the media, who do they like to mock the most? Who do they like to mock the most? When you look at Hollywood, who they like to mock the most out of all the guys, Buddha, all the guys, who they like to mock the most? When you see these album covers, don't everybody want to be on the cross and have thorns on their head? You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, what is the divinity of Christ? Then we have to understand what is the title of a person who can give you forgiveness of sins. Let me say it again. What is the title of a person who can give you forgiveness of sins? You know what I'm saying? You got to think about it. All right, let's think about it. All right, let's think what is sin? For the wages of sin is death. So physically on this earth, if you break the law, you're considered a criminal. You know what I mean? If you break God's law, you consider as a sinner. You know what I'm saying? So sinner, those break God's law, statutes and commandments and things like that, right? You know what I'm saying? So if everybody on this earth is a sinner, right? That's almost like looking at it like, can a prisoner free another prisoner lawfully? Can someone in prison be a judge to another prisoner and free them? No, that's not humanly possible. A person in prison can't free another prisoner. A sinner can't free another sinner. You know what I'm saying? That would be what they call blasphemy. You know what I'm saying? That's why the Jewish people, you know what I'm saying, was about to stone Jesus at the time, because he was telling people their sins are forgiven. They seen that physical healing, but when it got to the spiritual, you know what I'm saying, he was telling people your sins are forgiven. And these Jewish, they had knowledge. They knew there's only one person. There's only one divine being that could give people forgiveness of sins. Who is this divine being? God. So, you know what I'm saying? People weren't able to read between the lines. They're still in the elementary truths, not seeing that God set the perfect example for all mankind, how to be a son of God, how to be a child of God. That's why there was no other sons of God, because everybody was in sin. But with one body, with Christ, we could become sons and daughters of God. His perfect body became the perfect union that we could partake in. You know what I'm saying? The perfect union that we could partake in and become sons and daughters of God through Christ. That's why he was the only son of God. You know what I'm saying? But they don't understand the divinity of Christ. There's only one person that has the authority to give people forgiveness of sins. You know what I'm saying? The Jewish, they understood that, but they're like, this man cloaked in flesh is forgiving people for their sins. They ready to stone him. You know what I'm saying? Why? Because they said, you a mere man, claim to be God. Because they understood only person that give forgiveness of sins is God. That's just what it is. So people just have to understand the divinity of Christ. You know what I'm saying? Those through Christ can become sons and daughters of God, but they don't understand the divinity of Christ. Christ even said it, I and the Father are One. And they were about to stone him again. Forgiveness of sins, and you claim to be the Father. People need to wake up and understand the divinity of Christ. Christ is God Almighty. You know what I'm saying? When those get understand the profound truth, they'll see that Christ was God Almighty. You know what I'm saying? Setting a perfect example for the sinners here on this earth. And it's like realize that it's just powerful. You know what I mean? But like I said, I'm thankful I got this job. I'm very, very thankful I got this job. You know what I'm saying? Work this job is gonna be different. I ain't gonna be able to like my other job, have my earbuds in, just vibing and stuff like that in my own zone. I they gonna come, forward with the indirects, all the sayings, all this little stuff that they do, all that. It's time to grow. It's time to grow. It's time to grow. You know what I mean? Get to the next level of still being able to break through the social anxiety, the social awkwardness, and still make myself welcoming enough to make the business flourish, continue to flourish, and, participate on making things work in that restaurant, doing the best that I can do. You know what I mean? Regardless. You know what I'm saying? Because right now I came in there, everybody wearing black shirts, everybody wearing the same color. Every time I go to the job, be like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like the angels be hiring me. Then next thing they get them up out of there. Because I remember just at my last job at the Poster, you know what I'm saying? The dude, you know what I'm saying? Like the dude that hired me, one of the managers that hired me, he listening to gospel music and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, wow, they got him up out of there. I don't know if he transferred to another job. They got him up out of there. You know what I'm saying? Next thing I know, another manager come in with the zesty vibe. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he let it be known he was part of that life. He let it be known he was part of that. He let it be known proud sodomite. You know what I'm saying? No shame in this game. Switched it like that. You know what I mean? I'm like, dang, what happened? Because I'm listening to I think I'm listening to my music. Is this like, oh, he's still listening to that ratchet music? All right, you know what I'm saying? Let's get the good guys out of here and let's start, ramping up on them. So I know at this job, they probably gonna do stuff like that too. Even if I remember I was at a job listening to gospel rap, gospel music, and they still was putting the hammer down. You know what I'm saying? They still was putting the hammer down. So I know when I get to this job, next thing I know, people gonna be wearing different color shirts, just the different things like that. They're gonna start ramping up, indirects, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. You know what I mean? Anything that they can do to try to make you comfortable. They ready to pick your brain. Dudes like, oh, where you from, Derek? I already know it. Where you from, man? Oh, man, what bring you out here? Why are you out here? Oh, okay. All right. You going to school? The basics. Just processing information that this town, I'm pretty sure, is already processed with. You know what I'm saying? But, the godly people, they be in and out. You know what I'm saying? Like, wow. Like, it'd be nice to be at a establishment where it's like, Christians, even, so many different types of Christians, but just, Christians, that'd be nice, or positive people. You know what I'm saying? Positive setting. Like, that'd be nice to be at a place like that. I know the darkness gonna follow, but it'd be nice to be at a place that people just talk about the Bible. Or you mess around and see somebody come to work, you know what I'm saying? And they got a Bible. They, you know what I mean? Not like they about to preach nobody at work, you know what I'm saying? You just gotta respect the people, but they show they about God, you know what I mean? They show they about God. Cause, looks could be deceiving, just like I have in my posts. There's people robbing ATMs and they got godly things on their hoodie. You know what I'm saying? Talking about they a child of God, or, you know what I mean? They might have Bible scriptures on their hoodie and all, Bibles on their clothes and stuff, and they still performing, they still doing dirt. Not just doing sin, but doing, breaking physical law. Not just breaking spiritual law. These folk breaking physical law. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you can't be fooled, just because a person wear a crucifix don't mean they on the right side. You get what I'm saying? A lot of people be having that mindset like, oh, I got a crucifix, I'm on the right side. Because they just think that Jesus just gonna forgive them. They can do all the dirt they want to do. And as long as that they believe, and then right before they die, right before they flatline, they can just ask Jesus for forgiveness. And they gonna be good like that. And then people gonna be sadly, they gonna look real sad when they hear that, depart from me, you worker of lawlessness. Depart from me, you worker of iniquity. You know what I'm saying? Depart from me. You know what I mean? For a person of God, or, a person that of light, that's the last thing you want to hear is depart from me. You know what I'm saying? Don't let these people fool you and think that you could do whatever you want, and because of the grace of Christ, you know what I'm saying? They'll hit you with the grace. Oh, we don't deserve this. There's nothing we can do. The law, we don't need the law. The law is gone. The law is abolished. That's the old covenant laws abolished. Them 10 Commandments still stand, though. And we got the new covenant. Them 10 Commandments still stand. You know what I'm saying? But we got but we can't put people to physical death. You get what I'm saying? With the court system and, the self-defense and stuff like that. But they ain't doing the stoning. They ain't doing the animal sacrifices. They ain't doing none of that. You know what I'm saying? They ain't doing all that they had to do. You get what I'm saying? But that law still stand. That's what make a king. That's what make a kingdom. In every kingdom, there's laws. There's order. It got to be a law. You know what I'm saying? Or it'd be chaos. But people just, I don't know, grace. I don't know. Apostle Paul said it best. Grace. You know what I'm saying? No human can obtain perfection through the law, because the law is too perfect. We can't keep all those regulations. You know what I mean? Now we got grace. We can just do what we want to do. No, you can't do what you want to do in any kingdom. Even in the kingdom of God, you can't do what you want to do. You can't. We have to be separate. You know what I'm saying? And we got the manual on how to be separate through the new covenant. You get what I'm saying? That Bible, I was about to say ball, what the heck? That Bible is complete. The 66 books of the Bible is complete. Genesis to Revelation. You know what I'm saying? To teach us, you know what I mean, how to follow Christ. You know what I mean? How to find the Christ. You know what I'm saying? Realize that we sinners and lead other people to Christ so that they can, realize that they're sinners. And that process just go just like that. That process just go just like that, contagious, just grow, just like that. That's what it means. You know what I'm saying? That's the purpose. You know what I'm saying? Our souls. That's the purpose. But we still have to work. We still have to adapt in this flesh. We still have to adapt. We still got to do what we got to do. And I'm thankful for that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not finna set myself up for the trap. You know what I mean? It's a lot of grace teachers. Grace. Don't forget to say your grace. You know what I'm saying? Amazing grace. Yes, we do have grace. You know what I'm saying? But the thing about it is, if you think that you can just continue to do what you want over and over and over again, and you just through the blood, you gonna go to heaven? Oh man, it's gonna hurt at the end. You know what I'm saying? Why you thinking Matthew chapter 7 verse 21? It states it like that. If it was just grace, it wouldn't be none of that. Them people would be going to heaven, right? But that's not the case. So you can't just say grace. You got to do a little more than grace. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not perfect. I'm not here to say that I'm perfect. I know I'm not perfect. You know what I'm saying? I was an addict, okay? An addict. You know what I mean? Meth head. Hard drugs. Meth head. You know what I mean? Snorting and smoking meth. You know what I'm saying? Homeless out here. You know what I'm saying? Porn addict. Addicted to porn. You know what I mean? Fornicator. Addicted to sex. You know, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Panhandler. Didn't want to work. Asking, a beggar. Just begging, you know what I'm saying? Even though I got my five senses, a reasoning mind, my five senses, it's not like I'm in dire help. I can get it on my own. It's just that chose to be a beggar because I wanted to go the lazy route, that vagabond spirit. Don't want to work for nothing. You know what I'm saying? You know, burning bridges. You know, I came from, that. You know what I'm saying? So that's like no achievement, nothing to be proud of. You know what I'm saying? That's nothing to be proud of. That's nothing to be proud of. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not here to say that I'm righteous. I'm far from righteous. I'm a black man. I'm a targeted individual going through a satanic ritual abuse program. You know what I'm saying? Spiritual warfare 2.0 with concentrated demonic attacks. You get what I'm saying? To try to break my mind, lead me to suicide. You know what I'm saying? Infiltrate my psyche bubble to influence me. Like trauma-based mind control by constantly, repetitiously inducing me with trauma. Highlighting all my flaws. You know what I'm saying? Anything you do that they can do against you, they will. You know what I'm saying? Going through that with a criminal background. Woo! Life ain't gonna be easy. But remember, it's people out here that got it harder than that. It's people out here that got it harder than me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm thankful. After coming from that, to finally be able to work, not be a panhandler, you know what I mean? Through the grace of God, able to hold a roof. I'm almost like Atlas Shrugged just trying to hold a roof for me and my wife, holding it up, struggling to hold up that roof. But God is making it happen. You know what I'm saying? Just like that, I got a job. God is making it happen. You know what I mean? No longer taking drugs. No longer watching porn. You know what I'm saying? Just the other day, it's been a while since I've been on like the internet on my PlayStation. Well, I get on the internet all the time to watch movie streams like that, but you know, like those who have game system, you know, when you go on the www, the internet browser. It's been a while since I've been on the internet browser. Got on the internet browser because I was trying to see if I can watch a movie with me and my wife, and then as soon as I try to, click on the site, guess what popped up? Some butt naked lady. You know what I'm saying? The enemy is crafty. Don't be watching no porn, no type of adult sites at all. Not happening. You know what I'm saying? Drugs? No, not at all. Alcohol? That's another thing too. Alcohol. I could have put myself in so many situations. Stupid decisions because of alcohol. You know what I mean? That's why I got to stay away from alcohol. That stuff is sorcery and witchcraft. That stuff open, you know what I mean? For demonic and darkness to come on in. Your flesh increase when you drink that alcohol. That's why, you know what I mean? People usually with a right mind wouldn't do the things that they do, but when they under the influence of alcohol, they start getting freakier. They start getting more courage, more brave. They start, getting more aggressive. You know what I'm saying? Alcohol's not good. You know what I'm saying? Alcohol's not good. Staying away from alcohol. Now the only thing is just, cigarettes, nicotine. You know what I mean? Just working on that. That's why I'm still going through a process. But I'm getting better and better, baby. I came from all that. God's delivered me from all that. The enemies, they don't care. The fault finders, they don't care. They just want to highlight your flaws. That's their only agenda. Break your mind and continue to highlight your flaws. But you know what I mean? Children of light, you know what I'm saying? If they gonna highlight if the children of light gonna highlight your flaws, they just want you to realize you a sinner. They not gonna keep projecting this in front of you. They just want to realize get you to realize you're a sinner. And you know what I'm saying? The love comes in after that. The fault finders, they want to hide behind God and continue to project your flaws, continue to project all these things, you know what I'm saying, to get you to break. Ain't no love. You know what I'm saying? They just trying to find justifiable gain. So there's a difference. You get what I mean? They trying to use the trauma for mind control. Children of light, you know what I'm saying? They just want you to get right with God. That's why you got to have the discernment and the wisdom to know the difference. You know what I'm saying? And if anybody living in that lifestyle watching porn, man, give it up. I mean, even Jesus said, like, you got to cut off, if you got to cut off your right hand, instead of have both hands and be thrown in the lake of fire, then you got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? The fornication, the drugs, the alcohol, the vagabond, you know, panhandling, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Now, if you're doing the work of the gospel, you know, that's different. If you're a full-time gospel worker, you're doing the work for the gospel. You know what I mean? You really sowing seeds for people to be convicted. You know what I'm saying? You with love and you leading people and them type of donations and stuff like that. That might be something different. I can understand that. But people just, you know what I'm saying, want a donation and you got the reasoning mind. Unless you monetize somewhere. You know what I mean? But you're not monetized, you just begging. Just want to play victim, you just begging and stuff. I understand if people handicapped. I understand if people is mental health. I get it. You need assistance there. If you handicapped or if you mental health, I get it. You need assistance there. You know what I'm saying? But anything else is just like, you know, especially as a man, especially speaking to the man, you know what I'm saying? If you got your five senses, a mind of reasoning, and you ain't handicapped, then you gotta work. You gotta labor. Unless you a full-time laborer of Christ, a laborer of the ministry, then that's something different. You know what I'm saying? You know, iron sharpen iron, you know what I mean? You know, you in a struggle, but certain people just capitalize off that. They just hide behind God to get the benefits. That's it. You know what I'm saying? They just want the benefits. But people got to have the discernment and the wisdom to know the difference. You know what I'm saying? Examining the heart. Examining the fruits of the spirit. You know what I mean? It's the time for people to be strongly convicted. You know what I mean? Realize they're a sinner and you comfort them with love. You comfort them with love. You don't just comfort them, you know, discomfort them with hatred and continue to project and project and project. Nah. You know what I'm saying? You let them know that they're a sinner. Let them realize they're a sinner. And you show them love and you show them how to, you know what I mean? And they have to have that conviction. They don't have that conviction, then you got to distance yourself. If they don't have that conviction, then you have to distance yourself and leave it to God. You know what I'm saying? They gonna soon come to agree with terms. You know what I mean? Either they gonna be of darkness or they gonna be of light. You did your part. You warned them. You know what I mean? That's the purpose of a child of God. You know what I'm saying? Letting people feel convicted, giving them that warning. Warning. Giving them that message, giving them that warning. And that's up to them if they want to heed to the warning or not. You know what I'm saying? You did your part. But, you know, you got to have that heart like you actually want them to be saved. You get what I'm saying? That's the difference. Actually having that heart of actually wanting them to be saved. That's the difference. And I'm just thankful to God, you know what I'm saying, for allowing me to, you know, keep going, finding a job. I'm just thankful. You know what I'm saying? don't really have a lot of worldly achievements. You know what I'm saying? In the eyes of humanity, they look at me as like, you unfit. You know what I'm saying? You a nobody. Hey, they got that movie Nobody too about to come out, but boom, you a nobody. You know what I'm saying? But in the eyes of God, you a somebody. You got to remember that. And for your loved ones, you a somebody. Certain angels out here, and them eyes of them angels, you somebody. You know what I'm saying? The children of God, you a somebody. But when it comes to this world, you ain't got no worldly achievements and stuff like that. They're going to look at you like a nobody. They can't comprehend the light. That's all what they're going to project to you. And now you in the mindset of operating I got to prove myself. I got to have me some achievements. Now you chasing these things. Now you in the rat race. Now you are in the rat race. Racing to that lake of fire. You know what I'm saying? Running to that lake of fire instead of running to that crown. You know what I mean? And beating your flesh every day. Presenting your body as a living sacrifice every day. Picking up that cross every day. Becoming a temple of the heavenly sanctuary every day. Being a pillar for the heavenly sanctuary every day. Supporting that building, that gospel, that material. Not just being no sheep out here, but being as strong as an oxen. Being as strong as an oxen, able to pull your weight and get across into them heavenly gates. You know what I'm saying? And it starts with a faith that's the size of a mustard seed. It starts small. All you got to have a little bit of faith and let that faith sprout. Let it convict. Let it puncture deep into your heart. You know what I'm saying? And let it build up from there and build up and build up. And just that little seed of that mustard seed turn into one of them big old trees. Mighty tree. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about them trees that they be having. You know them trees that they be having in North California? Them redwood trees. I think they had them in the Planet Apes, them big old trees. Them big old trees. Well, the mustard seed. You know what I'm saying? You become mighty in the eyes of God. You know what I'm saying? So imagine what type of fruit you can bear out them big old trees. You know what I'm saying? That's all it takes. There's a little bit of faith. That's it. And it's hard, especially when you're going through this targeting every day. Being gang stalked every day. Satanic, ritualistic abuse every day. Spiritual warfare 2.0 every day. Concentrated, bullseye, focused on you. Beaming on you. You know what I'm saying? Every day. Like, you either gonna get right or you gonna get left. You know what I'm saying? You have found favor in the eyes of God. You are a survivor. You have found favor in the eyes of God. You are a survivor. A lot of people can't say the same thing. If you think I'm lying, look at the news. Look how many people crashing out on the news. You know what I'm saying? Makes you wonder if they were targeted. You get what I'm saying? Look how many people crashing out. All these mass shootings. You know what I'm saying? All these things. Human trafficking. You know what I'm saying? All these things. You know? Because these people couldn't survive. We living in some dark times. You know what I mean? And it's not being ran off of masculine energy. Because before it was masculine. It was masculine. They were just Holocaust, murder. You know what I'm saying? You know, back at certain churches, what the Catholic Church, man, they was, they tithing offering was different. They were just collecting. That's why so many treasures and riches in the Vatican, because these folks are just pirate style, Viking style. With the only thing that was different was they were just dressed in the clothing and you know, sheep's clothing. But they Viking style. You know what I'm saying? Collecting they taxes. You know what I'm saying? Collecting. You know what I mean? It was a masculine It was a masculine type of darkness back then. But now, it's a feminine darkness going on. Psychological games. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, the feminine darkness is worse than the masculine darkness. Even though it's like don't nobody want to feel no physical torture, like, physical torture versus mental torture. Don't nobody really want to go through no physical torture. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is the feminine darkness, the feminine darkness is a whole lot worse. You get what I'm saying? And this is what we're going through, and we survivors of it. So you know what I'm saying? We just have to give thanks to God that keeps motivating us, that keep us pushing. You know what I'm saying? Able to find a job. You get what I'm saying? I gotta hold this job down. A lot of the jobs that I did want, you know what I'm saying? Because I did want to get out here and landscape, cut some grass, do some handiwork. But I know I gotta probably get a trade or something like that. But I want to get out here and get to it and travel around a little bit. But no, you know what I'm saying? You gotta take what you can get, baby boy. You know what I'm saying? Just not the season for it, and I gotta understand. Cause them folks hit me so hard upside the head. Background. Oh, you got the job? I do? Let me see that background. You know what I'm saying? That type of energy. But guess what? Out of 9 demons is 1 angel. You gotta remember that. The law of averages. The law of averages. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be thankful. And when you get that little bit of opening right there, boom, you get on in there. And with that being said, family, God bless you and peace. And remember the divinity of Christ. Peace.